Kimberly Halkett has more on the strike and the political fallout from the White House.
New details are emerging about the congregation of Gaza's only Catholic church that was targeted on Thursday by Israel. More than 600, mostly women and children, were sheltering there. We now know at least 3 people have died and at least 10 have been injured. We also are now aware that the Pope had been contacting members of the congregation on a nightly basis to check on the well-being of those sheltering there. Asked about the incident, Karoline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said the president was not happy when he heard about what had happened.
It was not a positive reaction. He called Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning to address the strikes on that church in Gaza, and I understand the Prime Minister agreed to put out a statement. It was a mistake by the Israelis to hit that Catholic church. That's what the Prime Minister relayed to the President, and you should look at the Prime Minister's statement that will be coming out.
Still, this is not an isolated incident. In fact, the Israeli military has targeted at least a half-dozen churches in Gaza since just October 7th of 2023 using precision-guided munitions. Still, the Israeli military maintains this latest attack was purely accidental. Kimberly Halkett, Al Jazeera, the White House.
As you heard there, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement on the attack after speaking with Donald Trump. Hamdah Salhut has more from Jordan's capital, Amman. She's there because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank.
A brief statement from the Israeli Prime Minister after pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump for him to address the situation at hand. Netanyahu's office releasing a statement that says, quote, Israel deeply regrets that stray ammunition hit Gaza's Holy Family Church. Every innocent life lost is a tragedy. We share the grief of the families and the faithful. We are grateful to Pope Leo for his words of comfort. Israel is investigating the incident and remains committed to protecting civilians and holy sites. Now, this is not that much different from the statement that was issued by the Foreign Ministry after the attack had taken place, saying that Israel never targets holy sites in Gaza. However, over the last 21 months, Israel has repeatedly targeted churches and mosques across the Palestinian territory, killing thousands of Palestinians as a result. But whenever there is pressure on the Israelis, whenever there's international pressure on Netanyahu specifically, that's when the Israelis release some sort of statement about wrongdoing. Just last week, when there were at least 10 Palestinians, mostly children, who were killed waiting in a queue at a water distribution site, after the international outcry, that's when the Israelis said that there was a malfunction with their munition. And what Netanyahu is saying here is he didn't really admit that it was a mistake, saying that Israel expresses sorrow and is investigating the situation, saying that it was stray ammunition. But it's a little bit hard to believe any sort of Israeli investigation that happens after 21 months of war, because the military oftentimes absolves itself of any sort of wrongdoing. There is no one held accountable, and there are thousands of Palestinians who've been killed as a result.